If you're anything like me, or honestly, if you're a human, you've probably experienced anxiety. And the truth is, anxiety is a perfectly normal emotion to feel, but what makes it feel so big and gnarly is sometimes it just gets out of hand and it can become all-consuming. And in today's message, our Director of Youth Ministries, Chris Temple, is going to unpack anxiety, but he's also going to do it by listening to the voices of youth who are dealing with anxiety. If you've listened to the headlines, you've probably heard about the mental health crisis that's going on with youth and young adults. And it's true. It's not all bad news, but it's very real that youth today are dealing with anxiety in ways that we could not have imagined when we were younger. So I think Chris's message could not come at a better time, and it continues our series, The Good, the Bad, and the Healthy. Check it out.
Many of us are familiar with the words stress and anxiety. Every day we use them casually when talking about what to wear, where to eat, what to do, where to go, when we look at our calendars. And perhaps we tend to feel these words, stress and anxiety, when we are trying to sleep at night, or when we are trying to focus on our work or families or just life in general. The crazy thing is, we experience it so many times in so many areas of our lives that we don't even notice it. It becomes a natural part of our existence. And if we do notice it, we wonder, well, is it anxiety or just a little bit of stress? Is it normal or is it overload? Do I need to get help? Or am I taking small things and blowing them out of proportion? Do I need to just get over it? When a car is close to running out of gas, the low fuel light comes on, and sometimes it's accompanied by a really annoying beeping sound. If you have an electric car, there's a sign that comes on that says you need to charge. It's a warning sign that says get to the gas station or a charging station and fill up or charge up. But what are the warning signs when it comes to anxiety? How do we know that we're in that danger zone? How do we know that we are almost out of gas or an electric charge? Well, unfortunately, it's not as simple as an indicator in a car. See, you're a human being. And as a human being, I'm a firm believer that we are born to do two things consistently through our lives. We learn and we cope. You see, we are dealing with a mixture of circumstances, personalities, influences, hormones. We are dealing with all these emotional and mental patterns, and every person is different. So it's not always easy to recognize the warning signs of anxiety. But there are some symptoms that when you identify with them, that red flag comes up, the low fuel light comes on. For example, when the pressure on your chest is so heavy that you feel like you can't breathe, it's like an elephant sitting on your chest. Or it's nighttime and you're trying to fall asleep, but you can't because your mind is racing so fast that it feels like you're running on a treadmill. You just can't stop. Or those knots in your stomach and you feel like you're sick and you can't focus on anything. Or maybe you have a tough time relaxing because you just kind of always feel on edge, fidgety. What do you do then? What's normal and what's not? And more importantly, can you avoid these feelings? Or is this just the way life is supposed to be?
Hi, I'm Evangeline Perot, and I'm in 7th grade.
Hi, I'm George. I'm a junior at Robinson High School.
Hi, my name is Lynn Kajansky, and I'm in 9th grade.
A lot of things bring me anxiety, but the main is school. It's just stressful thinking that my next 2 weeks are full of 10 tests, and they're all state testing for my future.
Other than school, softball, my school softball gave me a lot of anxiety, and I was so nervous because it was my first time on the team.
I'll text my friends, and then it's understandable if they won't respond for 5 or so hours or maybe a day. But once it hits 2 days, I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong?
It's just, I don't really have testing anxiety, but apparently I do because I just don't sleep the best.
I just felt like I was kind of sitting on the outside, and I just always thought they were talking about me, I guess.
And it makes me worried that I did something when for all I know, they could have just gotten their phone taken away.
Made me really anxious to go to practice all the times, and I was wanting to stay home, but it was not fun.
The thing about stress and anxiety is that there are some answers, but they can be different for nearly everybody. That being said, I'm not a licensed therapist. I did not go to school for this, but I have gone the distance with stress and anxiety and how I coped with it. Doesn't make me an expert, but it does make me a youth director and one fabulous human being. So what I tell you today is for our students, our graduates, the parents. It's for all of you because we all deal with it. This is not something that discriminates. First, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about the differences between stress and anxiety. So what's the difference? Here's an easy way to think about it. Stress is specific. It's a reaction to an actual situation, like the pressure you feel over a deadline at work, exams at school, the holidays, weddings, events, or games. Stress is usually short-term. When the specific thing we're stressed about passes, the stress goes away, usually. Anxiety is not specific. It's more like a reaction to the world as a whole. Anxiety is something you feel all the time or about all things. It's a general feeling of unease or fear that doesn't go away, even when the stress passes. Now, contrary to what many people think, both stress and anxiety can be a good thing. Stress helps us accomplish what we need to accomplish. It pushes us to get better, work harder. Nothing wrong with that. Anxiety comes from the same fear part of our brain that puts us on high alert when there's danger nearby. Like when we're walking across a busy street or going out to our car in a dark parking lot at night. Maybe we're in a situation where we know we shouldn't be. We need that part of our brains. But anxiety becomes a problem when it sticks around for too long and is no longer helpful. When there's no danger that we need to pay attention to, but our mind and body is acting like there is. Or when we're constantly creating new situations in our head to fear and be anxious about. We need to know that's not how we're designed to work. In fact, when we live with constant anxiety, our body creates a stress hormone that is pumped through our entire body that keeps us on high alert. And living like that for a long period of time eventually wears you down and it wears you out. At that point, anxiety isn't helpful for pointing out danger. It's hurting you. It's keeping you from functioning in a normal life. And that is no place for any one of us to be.
So far, my best ways of dealing with it is, other than sitting in my room studying, is playing video games or going outside, playing sports, or just going and hanging out with friends, just trying to get my mind off of school.
I will confide in my best friend at school as well. And I feel like I can talk to her about anything. So that's where mostly I'll go, or I'll go home and sit in my bed for a little, or read a book, or I'll go outside and hit softballs. That kind of takes my mind off of it.
I like to bake cookies when I'm stressed or anxious. I'll go into even with school, I'll go into, after I finish up or I get home, I'll go into the kitchen and I'll just bake 4 batches of cookies. I share them with our neighbors sometimes, my mom and my dad and my family, Yeah. They're good cookies.
So, the question is, what do we do about it? If you feel anxious almost all the time, what are your options? Well, on the surface, certainly you can talk to a friend. Pastor McGray mentioned recently that you find somebody that you trust and love. Or maybe you go seek out a counselor or a therapist. You can go for a run or exercise. Sometimes it's so exhausting, you are just tired and you want to lay down and take a nap. Maybe you want to read a book, listen to music, watch a movie. There are breathing exercises. There are so many things. And like I already mentioned, we are all different, and how we cope will look different for everyone, even when, and unfortunately, if it's unhealthy. But for the next few minutes, I want to look at one thing everyone in this room can do when they feel stressed or anxious, no matter how severe or simple your feelings may be. We need to remember anxiety is a human problem. So even though it feels intensely personal and it makes you feel like no one else gets what you're experiencing, you can be rest assured you're not alone. One of the trickiest things about anxiety is that it makes you feel powerless. It puts a general fear in your heart, and that's a hard thing to beat. How do you get over anxiety that doesn't tell you to be afraid of anything specific, just the world in general? How do you get through? How do you get through failure, acceptance, validation, self-blame, fear, detachment, peer pressure, bullying, parents, kids, friends, relationships, jobs, school, the state of the world, and the threats of the world around you? Oh, yeah. Let's throw in God. How do you get through it? We've said it time and time through this series, and we'll say it again today. Name it. Your circumstances don't change, but the focus does. The situation doesn't shift, but the perspective does. And see, that's important because sometimes the thing that causes us to feel overwhelmed is something we can't control. And we like control. But your job is a reality. Kids and family are a reality. Bad days, they're a reality. These things don't always go away like a deadline or a due date. When life doesn't change, the one thing we can change is what we do and how we respond to the stress and anxiety that life brings. We can bring it to God. We can name it. We can name why it bothers us. And we can shift our focus to something else that is a reality. God's role is in our lives. Now, this will not solve your problem, but it can help you see with clarity. And the idea is to form a habit of focusing on the truth and gaining a perspective larger than your current one. It will help you train your mind to get out of the routine of worry, stress, and anxiety. You see, we will face things we aren't prepared to face. We will get stuck in negative thoughts, paralyzed by anxiety. We will catastrophize it, stress about things we can't control, and fearful over what we can do about it all. And over time, you're going to figure out it's not a good place to be. There are lots of acceptable tactics to help us cope, and we have mentioned some. But what's not okay is living with anxiety that holds you back from what you really want your day-to-day life to look like, all the while keeping it to yourself, carrying that weight. But think about healthy ways. Again, sometimes we cope in ways that just add to our problems. And if that is you, seek help. Seek help even if you are seeking healthy ways. Just seek help. In the last 20 years, our culture has changed and has become more adaptable and responsive to those that ask for help. I'm a part of a generation where I was just told to just suck it up. Help was like saying a 4-letter dirty word. But even still, for too many, it is hard to ask for this.
The only other thing I could bring up about it is my parents. It's kind of hard with my parents, so I have to try and tell them that I got it, but like I don't at the same time. But
There was one situation where for a really long time, I lost my best friend when we moved, and it was really hard for me because I would like try to call her back, and she just wouldn't respond because she didn't have the time or didn't want to put the effort in, and that made it really hard for me.
There's like a group of girls, and whenever we hang out, recently I've been turning it down because like the last times I've hung out with them, I just felt like I was just there and it was not how I wanted to be treated. I like walked away from them and I like just took like a lap around the school because I was crying because I thought they were talking about me and they were like laughing.
I do try to pray and hope he'll get me through a lot of this, which I know down the road it will, and everything will pay off, but it's just tough.
I'll pray a lot, like before I go to bed, or even at school, like before practices too.
I'll go and read like a few verses because it always makes me feel a bit better.
So I think that's definitely helped, just like knowing that I kind of have like God as like a shoulder to cry on if I need it.
Has someone ever said to you, you don't need to feel this way. You have nothing to be stressed out about. It just takes time. It just takes a little time. Oh, you'll be okay. Just get over it. Pray more, worry less. Our Philippians verse tells us that in every situation with prayers and thanks, give it to God. Anxiety. It's hard to hear this. It is hard to understand it. Sometimes when I hear this, it's just saying to me, if you're a better Christian, you wouldn't have these problems. You see, Paul speaks with encouragement as he was writing to the early Christians. He was not shaming them or degrading their faith, but he did notice that there was a struggle. And perhaps he was expressing what he went through for transcending understanding and finding peace. It was good advice. Now, if you're on the other side, for your friend, for your companion, for your children, it's an invitation to live into with what Paul says. Be the peace of God which guides others. A lot of times we find this so intimidating. We got to have the answers. But sometimes you don't even have to say a word. You just have to be there. You just need to listen. As a youth director, it is very common to have a parent come to me and to ask me to speak with their student about what they're going through. And I have to give this disclaimer. I don't have all the answers, but I can be there. The greatest of these moments is when the student will thank me and I feel as though I didn't say a word, but I did listen. I was present and I was there for them. The one thing that gets me through my challenge and struggle of anxiety is when I lay my head down at the end of the day. What more can I do? All the things that I cannot control in this world, I'm left with one simple reality. I can give it to God. I name it and give it to God. I can't do anything else. I'm tired, sometimes exhausted, mentally and emotionally drained. But when I name it and ask God to be in my life for peace and understanding, I find rest. There is a transcending peace. Know that there are ways forward, and there is a God who walks with us. No matter who you are and what you're feeling, stuck in anxiety, stuck in stress, or perhaps not in the middle of it now, but you know it's going to come again, and it will. You need to know you aren't and won't be helpless. There are tools to take on anxiety, and there is a God who will be with you. We have to realize this, and we have to realize this for others. Finally, as I speak to you on behalf of our youth ministry, I encourage you to stop and take reflection on yourself and our youth, our children. Our acknowledgement of what we are feeling will bring awareness to ourselves. Our awareness will bring enlightenment to others, but most importantly, to our children. Many times, our own emotions will roll into our children, and there is nothing more frightening than witnessing your child going through the struggles and then realizing that it looks like you. Life is beautiful, and the beauty sometimes lies in the journey of discovering yourself. Time trapped in anxiety devalues your life's beauty, and that is criminal. Do not be anxious about anything. Instead, do something about your anxiety. The peace of God awaits you, no matter what it is you're going through. Let's pray. God, we are anxious people. No matter how nurtured, it is the nature that has become us. We ask that our pride and justifications take a courageous exit so that we may focus on you being in our lives. No matter near or far we may feel from you, you are still amongst us and will forever be. Allow us the power to seek healthy ways to cope in our stress and anxiety. Give us the courage to know that dignity awaits us in your comfort and peace. And as we seek this for ourselves, remind us to walk with each other so that we may all know that your reflection in our lives is an image to a beautiful life and one to the fullest. In Jesus' name, amen.
I hope you found this message helpful. Wherever you are in your journey with anxiety, I've got two things that might help you along the way. The first, this week's Beyond the Sermon is going to be a repackaging of a talk that Dr. Erica Clark gave at our church recently this month. And it was about dealing with our emotions. It was called Decoding Your Emotions. And in that talk, you're going to get to hear her give her professional viewpoint on how we deal with anxiety, but also how we deal with all kinds of other emotions to be a healthy, regulated person, right? Because so often we think about emotions like anxiety and stress, but we often do that at the detriment of thinking about things like happiness and contentment. And we need to be thinking about those things as well. So her talk helps us balance all that out. And second, if anxiety is something for you that is really crippling right now, I just want to witness to you to the fact that I do bi-weekly mental health counseling with a therapist. And maybe it's helpful for you to just hear that someone else does that work. And I would encourage you to look for a therapist if you really need help dealing with anxiety. I know it's not an easy journey. I'm not going to lie, the insurance makes it hard, but hopefully, maybe, this is what you need to encourage you to find a therapist, someone that you can start talking to about your anxiety. And I hope you've picked up throughout this sermon series that our church is a place where we're open to having these types of conversations, to being real and honest about what we're feeling inside of ourselves and not just dismissing it or trying to pray it away, but being honest that these things that are inside of us, we need to deal with them. So thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for being a part of our community. If you want to know more about our community, you can go to our Next Steps page at hydeparkumc.org/next steps. I'm Matt Hotho, and I'll see you next time.